Wonderful Pogo, the Possum, comic strip character, forget the background and the frames preceding it, but the final frame of that strip is, "We have met the enemy and he is us." I like that, and I use that when I give my talk on JFK. We have met the enemy and he is us. It wasn't the Russians, it wasn't the Cubans, and it wasn't the Chinese. It was us, Americans. We did it. Well, I do what I do because I started off doing it and I enjoy it. You know, I've done other things. I was heavily involved in politics. I was the chairman of the Allegheny County Democratic Committee for many years, and I was the Democratic nominee for the United States Senate in 1982. You know, I could have had another career, but it didn't work out successfully. So I do what I do. It's my living. It's my profession. And it is really fascinating, well, you know, just to deal with these cases. Think about it. What could be more interesting than to deal with these cases that people constantly want to talk about, or even things of a generic nature, such as medical malpractice and asbestos mesothelioma and things of that nature. I'll do about 650 autopsies this year with my colleagues, and about 500 of those 650 will be drug-related deaths. Think about that. But I do it because I'm very happy and I'm very proud of what I do, and I think that contributions by me and by people like me in forensic pathology and forensic science do contribute to the administration, the application of forensic scientific principles so that justice can be served in civil and criminal cases. I don't feel like I'm on a mission. I don't feel there's some particular goal in mind, but it is a comforting thought of an ongoing nature to know that what you do really impacts people's lives in the fashion that they do, specifically, financially, personally, emotionally, psychologically, intrafamiliarly, and also then in the broader sense, societally. There have been comments, analyses, in fact, opinions expressed by experts in the fields of architecture design, building construction, engineering, and so on, forensic engineering, with which I am familiar by having worked with colleagues in forensic engineering in some catastrophes of a much lesser degree, but catastrophes nevertheless in this country, where the engineers come in and determine, what caused things to happen and how did they unfold, and so on. If there are opinions by experts of that nature, then they should be heard. There's no basis for the silencing of such opinions by news media, which has taken place in this country with JFK, RFK, Martin Luther King, assassinations, no question. Because no matter what you believe, the fact of the matter is that the news media, New York Times et al., I lumped them together, Washington Post and Wall Street Journal, and it used to be Time and Life magazine and Life, I don't know who's still around. They just adopted the attitude that they're going to go along with the federal government's conclusions in these cases, and it's unethical. It's frankly, it's morally, ethically despicable. They're not benefiting financially. They're not benefiting and doing something of a personal malevolent nature. The only conclusion one can infer as to why they're doing it is because they do work with these federal government agencies and they want to be given access to information and so on. They don't want to have the doors closed to them. Once you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains, and no matter how unlikely, no matter how improbable, must be the answer. Think about that. Once you have eliminated the impossible, and in my opinion, thinking about those political assassinations, we have eliminated the impossible. Could there have been only one shooter with JFK? Was there only one shooter with Sirhan Sirhan? Look at the hard forensic scientific evidence and see where did the shots come from? What was the range, the angle, the trajectory? What is the other evidence, visual, acoustical, etc.? It's there. So, you're left with conclusions that the federal government did not like. There are questions that remain unanswered. Questions to be dealt with in a scientific, objective fashion by competent people, groups of individuals dealing with engineers, forensic engineers, architects, building designers, people that deal with physical structures, and then bringing in medical people, forensic pathologists who have had experience in dealing with identification of remains and so on. I think that questions have been raised which are reasonable, that are not wildly conjectural or in the area of outlandish conspiratorial theorists and so on, which is the way in which they are dismissed. In the words of the great Winston Churchill, following an Allied victory, when things began to turn around, this is not the end, this is not even the beginning of the end, it may be the end of the beginning. And maybe this case could be the end of the beginning, that we really begin to delve into this in a very, very complete, thorough, objective, uncontrolled, governmentally uncontrolled fashion.